Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. Won't you spare me over another? But what is this that I can't see with ice cold hands taking hold of me?
What's your walking, pal?
When God is gone and the devil takes hold, who'll have mercy on your soul? Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. My name is Dad and the end is here.
Dale, John.
Oh, para mí es un honor, Julian, por esta oportunidad. La verdad me siento muy honrado junto con Andrés, muy bendecido. Y vamos a iniciar con el inicio, uno de los proyectos más recordados, memorables de tu carrera, que es Love and State, que es una historia muy bastante interesante que trata sobre la vida misma, los acontecimientos que uno pasa como el ser humano. Y mi pregunta yo es, ¿cómo fue esa experiencia ante ese elenco, ante esa historia? ¿Y qué aprendiste lo bonito de la vida que comenzaste hasta ahorita?
Y voy a agregarle algo. Okay, Julian, this is a question from both, from John and myself. We are going very, very early in your career with talking about Love of the State, but not only about this movie, but knowing that this is more like a movie talking about life itself. And I got to tell you, I just watched it right now. I was watching My Life Without Me from Isabel Coixet. And I know that in the vast of your career, you had played very different roles, but you have worked with a lot of authors, directors that told about life itself. So going back in this movie, how do you see this word and other words that deal with the subject of life itself?
I'm glad you saw that movie. I like that movie very much, and I like Isabel very much as a director. To answer your question, I see all my roles as part of life itself. So that particular movie, I play a doctor, and I am dealing with a young woman. A young woman who has terminal cancer. And so very directly, I'm dealing with death. But I hope that with that film and my character, we also deal with life and death together. And right to my most recognizable role as Death in Supernatural, I play Death as somebody that is actually not just a creepy villain, a murderer, somebody to be afraid of, but somebody who is part of the cycle of life. So, for instance, with Death, my character enjoys the company of Dean. He enjoys human food. He enjoys the little things of life. And so he himself is part of a complex narrative of life and death. And I don't distinguish. I like to play comedy seriously. I like to play serious roles with comedy. I like to mix everything up.
I will do an exception. I will translate faster because John will die with this answer. Literally, John, haré la traducción y seré muy breve porque dice que él ve todo su compendio de películas como sería la vida misma. Obviamente él dice que yo le mencioné La vida sin mí. Dice que amó esa película, amó trabajar con Isabel Coixet, pero dice que al hacer acá el doctor que le dice pues a la muchacha que va a morir, ese espectro que él ha usado en las películas, en los dramas, sobre la vida misma, es lo que le ayuda a construir su personaje en Supernatural, serie que amas, de la muerte. Por eso ves que es una muerte que muy humana, le gusta comer, le gusta compartir, sí. And we can see in the background, John, your character in Supernatural. So, but I
Andrés,
let him continue. Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Oh, John.
sí, tú.
Oh, I got the honor. Now this question is for myself. Now, wow, I, of course, you have appeared in many, many movies that I love, but because there are so many and so little time, how do you see the evolution for all the directors' task in the horror and fantasy genre? We can name all the big names that had worked with you, Cronenberg, Del Toro, and now even one of my favorites that is Eggers. So tell us how do you see the evolution? Because I know that I feel that it's a war between the director, but the creation of the characters, because you had played many distinguished characters. We can talk about Urban Legend and going on and on, but tell us, how do you see the evolution?
I think that the evolution also mirrors my aging as an actor. So in my younger movies, I think that I played straightforward roles, maybe the bad guy, maybe the guy you think is the murderer but isn't the murderer. He is the red herring or the creepy alien, or, you know, very straightforward guys. I think as I've got older, people recognize that I represent a certain style of acting, of character, and I'm able to play with it a little more. I am given more freedom to introduce different elements. As I said before, life, humor, because as you get older in our society, I think our recognition of our elders is they are more complex. We allow them to be a little more themselves rather than types. So I've enjoyed this. I also recognize that horror films has gained respectability in the industry. And so therefore we have a lot more artistic interpretations of the genre. So Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, young filmmakers are going to a genre and they are introducing an art house sensibility, a subjectiveness, and an interesting take on an old form.
John is working not also in this channel, but he's doing a documentary for the university, and he asked me if you can allow us that answer about the terror genre used in this documentary. Yes or no?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
You had made John's life better. Yo creo que,
Sí,
bueno, traduciré,
bueno.
pero ya te hizo el día. John dice que yo le pregunto obviamente sobre cómo él ha visto la evolución en la dirección del género del terror y la fantasía, pues porque él ha trabajado con grandes nombres, no tengo que decirlos, ¿no? Cronenberg, Del Toro, llegando a Eggers. Él dice que él ha visto esa evolución de los papeles como lo ha visto el paso de sus años. O sea, cuando era más joven, digamos, interpretaba más villanos, luego se dio cuenta que él, representiéndose como un actor de edad, cómo se demuestra esa complejidad al pasar de los años, cómo en los personajes de terror deben evolucionar también, cómo mostrar el mal de otra manera. Y obviamente él dice que también siente que el terror ha llegado a un nivel del arte, entonces obviamente nos habló de Eggers,
Tremendo.
de Aster, y pues te dio la bendición acá con tu documental, entonces creo que continuemos.
De hecho, es muy importante, Julian, porque hablando ya del terror, hay unos dos temas que son muy trascendentales en tu carrera, que la verdad yo siempre lo he admirado, y es de querer saber cuál es la trascendencia desde tu perspectiva, tanto como cinéfilo, como actor, sobre lo que hace 20 o 30 años atrás hasta la actualidad fue como esa trascendencia del género de los superhéroes hacia la ciencia ficción. ¿Cómo usted lo puede calificar para recuperar más la esencia?
I was the one that was misleading. In your work in this genre, in series and movies, what do you think that are the elements that you can gave to like you can see my work and you can take that for this kind of genre as an actor,
Right.
as the characters you do?
I let me talk, and I don't know if I am answering your question, but I'll talk around. Okay. So I enjoy the genre of science fiction. For me, it is very open because science fiction is horror, is mystery, is love, there are so many elements to it. I think when it comes to doing a series like a Superman franchise, you are obviously within a franchise and you are playing very specific characters that the fans have an expectation the way you play them. There is limited room for me as an actor. It is my responsibility to play that iconic character that has been already created and to just invest it with live humanity. So I am very happy to do that. I don't do that much. I am more interested in a more independent approach to horror and science fiction, where often young, emerging filmmakers are finding their voice. And they are experimenting with stories, with narratives that roughly fit into the genre, but it allows them enough scope to experiment. So I have had experience in very big films, Hollywood films, X-Men 3, Man of Steel, Percy Jackson. And for me as an actor, it is a great privilege to be able to be a part of a big machine. It is not my usual experience. My usual experience is creating new independent work. But I enjoy it. It's my job as an actor to be flexible and to be able to perform in any situation. But in those situations, I am always a little fish in a big pond. You understand what I mean? I'm a very small piece of a big show. I'm more interested in being an active member of a smaller group that is more disparate. So the genre of science fiction, I find that it matches the experimentation of young filmmakers because it is trying to break new ground, to question our universe and our surroundings. So, what else? I think that's good for now.
No, in fact, you gave me like a hook for another question from myself because it's first as a moviegoer, I had to thank you for loving more that small movies, but it's great because how do you feel when these small movies became cult movies? But because man, Cube, The Witch, there are movies that now are treated with a different, of course, hardcore logo. But tell me, how do you feel when these small ventures became cool ventures? How do you feel as an actor, as a part of the world?
Proud. Yeah, very proud, very proud. However, you can never do a project thinking, I want this to be a cool project. I think this will be a cult movie. Because once you do that, it is no longer cool. You understand what I mean? You have to go blind. You have to follow your instincts. And often you don't know what you're doing. You just go and do it. And at the end of the day, maybe it works. But you have to be brave. And I think all movies that are successful at some point face a crisis of identity with people going, I don't know what we're doing. How's this going to work? And you have to have that. And that's the difference between small experimentation and large movies, because large movies can take less risk. You know, when you have more big studios behind and a tradition behind you, there's less room.
Okay, I will translate because I know John got a question inside, he was asking me, but John, iré al grano porque yo sé que vas a preguntar y yo sé que vas a hacer esa pregunta sobre esa película en específico. Dice que él entiende que cuando se existen grandes proyectos, obviamente nos habló de X-Men, The Last Stand y Man of Steel, él dice que le encanta estar ahí, pero entiende que digamos que es como una gran maquinaria, que entiende que tiene que pagarle respeto a los personajes y nos damos cuenta muy bien que él hizo una muy buena aproximación. Obviamente yo le dije que hizo parte pues de esta, de cómo este género pues está tomando esta fuerza ahora pues con Snyder, pero él dice que más le gusta más que todo en la ficción, cómo los pequeños proyectos le permiten incluso, dicen, no me gusta hacer como una pequeña parte en un gran proyecto, sino como algo que pertenece al todo, pues digamos de cosas que pues son prometedoras. Él dice, yo le dije, pero bueno, ¿cómo te has sentido cuando estos pequeños proyectos se vuelven películas de culto? Bueno, tú sabes, Cube, The Witch, Hardcore Logo. Él dice que él siempre entra como ciego, porque dices que cuando tú llegas pensando y decir, esta película va a ser de culto, pues como que pierde esa magia, pero él se sorprende y a él le encanta, se da cuenta que le encanta muchísimo. Entonces, tienes que preguntarle sobre esa película, hombre, si no te mueres.
Sí, sí, Julian, yo estoy emocionado porque le voy a hacer esta pregunta que siempre me la he querido hacer sobre los personajes suyos. La muerte en Supernatural y Tres Dedos Camino hacia el terror. Lo que has aprendido de esta saga y de la serie, hay referencia mucho a tu personaje, a los personajes que has interpretado sobre los sueños. Entonces eso es lo que más me ha interesado saber sobre qué piensas sobre la esencia de los personajes, claro, en el terror, y si alguna vez, de tantas veces que lo pudiste interpretar, ¿has soñado alguna vez con ellos? ¿Alguna vez?
Wow, this is a very interesting question. He is referring, of course, from your character in Supernatural, but also in Grand Turn. This is one of the most remembered characters from the people that had watched the movie. And of course, with an amazing work of makeup and prosthetics. But John asked you, we know that this movie sometimes deals with the another specter, the mostly like dreamy sequences. You had dreamed with these characters or with one of your characters you had dreamed like, yes, I finished the movie, but oh my God, now I'm having dreams with this character. This character keeps appearing on my mind.
No. I am very invested in all my characters. They are an extension of me. They are part of me, and I feel very close to them. But I am also able to walk away from my characters. I serve the story as an actor. I'm given a script and I find something and I make it work, but it's not about me. It's not about my character. It's about the story. So I am able to go in and I'm able to create as much as I can, but at the end of the day, I walk away because the story is more important than me. So I can remove myself from it. I don't get, a lot of people ask me, oh, you play Death. What's that like to play Death? I don't see him as Death. I don't live with the doom and gloom of that character. I live with the complexity of that character. And I am complex. I have these different aspects. And I can walk away and go, well, that is a fictionalized version of what I offer to a story. It is a construct. It is not a character that is haunting me.
Now that we got time and this is flowing, I want to ask you about another genre that you had participated. And I want to know, how do you visualize and the genre itself? This question I'm making it now. No, I don't got it. This is scripted. You had worked in Open Range, but also in Hell's on Wheels. In fact, we got the opportunity to interview back here to David Wilson Barnes. He appears also in this series. What do you feel that are the elements that can make the Western genre come back? I know that we got interesting movies this year. I know that one is called The Power of the Dog, I think. And of course, Cry Macho. But what, I don't know, do you feel that this genre needs to take some elements to being strong again, because I remember that Open Range was called the movie that was saving the genre back in those years, because of course you got Kevin Costner. Tell us.
Yeah, but Open Range, I enjoyed doing Open Range. I like Kevin Costner, but it was Kevin Costner's tribute to a John Ford movie, to an old style Western. Okay. And that was very good. It was a very good exercise. I enjoyed it. I feel with Westerns, Kevin Costner's movie, that it was an exception. It was an unusual tribute from one artist to a genre from his past. And he used iconic actors like Robert Duvall, Annette Bening. He used those actors as themselves in a mythological context. It was a very mythological movie. I love the Western. I grew up with Westerns. In the 60s, I watched black and white Westerns on TV, very cliche, cowboys, Indians, very white, very colonialist. You understand what I mean? Very, very insensitive. We have changed our sensibility. And however, the Westerns that influenced me were the new Westerns in the 70s. McCabe and Mrs. Miller it was one of my favorite movies that reinvented the idea of the Western and the chaos of creating a new town. Deadwood has done the same kind of thing on television. It's explored the Western as the construct of society, of creating a society in the West. Up until this point, the Western hasn't been explored as fully as the horror or the sci-fi genre in terms of diversity. It has remained more of a white cowboy, red Indian kind of dynamic. I'm happy to say that is changing, that with our renewed approach to colonialism, to the oppression of indigenous people, that we are beginning to recognize the stories as being more complicated. And I think that there is now an opening for new filmmakers to reconstruct Western mythology. An example is a Canadian movie that is a reenactment of The Searchers by John Ford. Inuit. It's Inuit story in the north of Canada. It's a magnificent movie in the frozen ice. And it's basically a reinvestigation of those themes. And I think that is a new frontier for filmmaking. And I'm very excited about it. I love the old tradition. I love the idea of the shootout and the guys facing each other and riding across the desert and all those images. But I think now as a society, they need to be reanimated.
John, seré rápido. Como bien te diste cuenta, él tiene un método donde él se entrega al personaje y después se va, entonces no sueña. Le tuve que preguntar porque él también ha aparecido en un género que parece importante, que es el western, obviamente con Helson Wills en Open Range. Le pregunté hace última hora, porque no lo tenía planeado, de cuál siente que son los elementos que debe tomar, recordando que Open Range en esa época fue llamada como la película que iba a salvar el género. Él dice que esto se debe porque eso fue un homenaje a una película de John Ford, obviamente con Kevin Costner, Robert Duvall, pero él siente que ese género se tiene que despedir un poco de lo colonialista y nos recomendó unas pelis. Bueno, él dice que le encanta McCabe and Miller, es un clásico. Le gusta mucho lo que hizo esta serie Deadwood, tú sabes, increíble serie, pero que se viene un datazo, una película en Canadá que es recontar The Searchers de John Ford, pero con la visión de los Inuit, de los aborígenes. Entonces, bueno, creo que tienes una preguntota.
Bueno, sí, yo tengo una pregunta muy importante. Yo tengo Polar.
Polar.
Sí.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen.
Eso, sí. De hecho, su personaje es bastante O sea, interesante porque, bueno, está compartiendo pantalla con nueva generación del cine, que te gusta trabajar también con los nuevos talentos y también con los grandes directores que le apuestan. No solo es trabajar con Akerlund y con Mikkelsen, sino más bien cómo ve el futuro del género de acción, de los antihéroes justicieros, como lo es el Black Kaiser.
Yes, moving on with another genre is great because we are dealing with genres, of course, polar, action, and you were here not only just with Mikkelsen and Jonas Åkerlund, by the way, is one of my favorite directors, but with new faces in this genre, new actors. Knowing that you also had appeared, like, in fact, one friend of mine sends you a hi because he really loved Universal Soldier 2. You appear on that.
Right.
What do you feel that are the elements that this genre needs for? Because we now see like a revival, but for us it's important to know your point of view, having appeared in this crazy movie that is Polar.
It's a crazy movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoy those kind of movies like John Wick. I enjoy, and it's very much got the same kind of construct as a revenge movie. I don't know. I think that they are a temporary energy. They have a great spark of life. And I think they've played themselves out a little bit now. They come every so often, they reinvent themselves, they become more stylish, or like Guy Ritchie, or like you get people that inject style, music, attitude, but they are the same basic kind of raw energy. And I think that they burn themselves out, and then they'll come back again, and they burn themselves out again. I don't know that they're a genre that sustains or has as much longevity as sci-fi horror westerns. I don't know. An exception, talking of Mads Mikkelsen, yesterday I watched a good film with him in it called oh dear, what is it called? Justice, Riders of Justice, where it's a revenge movie. Mads in Danish, in his latest film in Danish. It is a revenge movie, but it is an interesting movie because he is playing a character that is seeking the revenge of the death of his wife. However, the people that help him fulfill that revenge are neurodiverse. You know what I mean by that? Like in terms of on the spectrum of autism. And so it is very interesting where the Avengers are some of the downtrodden of society, or the ignored of society. So it is an interesting shift. In the same way that I said that the Inuit film, the version of The Searchers, was an interesting twist on a Western, I think that we will start to see new changes. Of course, the challenge as a filmmaker, as an artist, is to make sure that you are doing such a shift for the right reasons. You're not just dressing it up with modern clothing. You understand what I mean? So that it's not just a token change. It's something that really re-explores a medium. But to conclude, I think that kind of form, the form of action movie, revenge movie, it keeps coming back in cycles, but it becomes relevant for the time, and then it burns itself out. It doesn't have the sort of longevity and spread out that some of the other genres do.
To talk, if you wanna invite to the people or tell us something about the new projects that are coming, Weekensburg, Canton Manor, Time Traveling Through Time, and Salvation. Say wherever you want of the projects. And of course, give a salute to the people from the channel to Colombia, and give us your social media so people can follow you. For us, from Jhon and myself, we feel blessed, man. And really,
Okay.
thank you. But go ahead.
It's very nice to talk to you. I enjoy talking to anybody that is interested in not just an actor and about fame or celebrity, but about the work and that are truly interested in film, which you are. So that's always a pleasure for me. Sure. What would you like? What should I say? I'll do a hi. Oh, well, I finished with telling you what's coming.
Yes.
A little bit. Some things I can say, some things I can't.
Yes.
You understand that.
Of course.
The one thing that I can say that has just come out here in North America is it's called Chapelwaite, which is a Stephen King series. And they've just finished broadcasting it. It's very interesting. 10 episodes based on a Stephen King short story called Jerusalem's Lot. And the writers have taken this very short story and expanded it into a whole world. And I think it's very good. And Stephen King himself likes it. He recommended it too. So I guess it's something that's good. So there we go. That's coming up. What else? Let me say hello. Do you cut it and you sort of paste it? Do you?
Yes, yes.
So who do I say hello to? Who do you want me to say?
Jhon, ¿a quién le quiere decir el saludo? A Colombia, el canal, lo que sea.
Colombia, el canal.
To Colombia
canal.
to the channel, to everybody,
Yeah.
man, and your social media so people can follow you.
Okay. All right. So, hi, Jhon and Andres and everybody at Columbia Canal. This is Julian Richings, and I'm having a great time chatting about film and talking about myself, which is always quite fun. So, lovely to talk to you, and tune in and see what I had to say. I'm old, Dean. Very old. There you
Wow.
Jhon, contento.
Yeah.
Voy a tomar la foto, ¿cierto?
Sí, yeah.
We are going to take a picture for the social media so
Sure.
people can know
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this interview. So I will, but I spend my...
Julian, muchas gracias por la oportunidad. Me siento muy agradecido. Gracias por hacer parte del nuevo proyecto y la verdad me siento muy agradecido por la oportunidad y bueno, espero la hayas disfrutado.
Julian, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I will translate, and of course, I will invite people to tune in Chapelwaite.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. It was really an honor.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Send me your finished thing or your details so I can post it on social media too. Okay?
Yes, I will tell to Jhon. Jhon, obviamente, le envíes cuando esté terminado para que él lo postee en sus redes sociales.
Por supuesto que sí. Dale mis agradecimientos a tu manager. Muy amable.
And thank you so much to your manager, of course. Okay.
Pleasure. Okay.
Bye-bye, Julian.
Bye-bye, Julian.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
guys.
Bye-bye.
So nice.
Bye.
Captain.
Dear Cousin Charles, by the time you receive this letter, I shall be in my final resting place. I bequeath you a magnificent ancestral home we call Chapelwaite.
What do you think? Hardly know what to say myself.
I hear you're looking for a governess.
We are. Your family has a reputation. Your children, are they Christian?
Some blame Chapelwaite for the illness in town.
The Boones are surrounded by misfortune.
Father, are we safe here?
Once the people see that there's nothing to fear, this animosity will diminish.
Unless there is something to fear. I see things. Things that aren't real.
Bad things are coming.
All that you believe is madness. That is my curse. Only I can save you.
I would rather die than to risk hurting my family.
Sobre la pregunta del género de acción, Julian dice que obviamente disfrutó muchísimo estando en Polar. Yo le recordé su papel obviamente en Soldado Universal 2, de un clásico. Él dice que siente que estos géneros, tanto el sci-fi como la acción, son géneros que constantemente se están reinventando. Dice que no le desagrada de hecho que Polar haga parte como este universo de películas a los John Wick. Dice obviamente que John Wick generó escuela, que es una locura obviamente, pero que, y esto es lo que me encanta de Julian, obviamente aquí no es que se nos haya pasado, sino que es una carrera tan extensa. Julian respeta muchísimo a Mikkelsen porque él trabajó en Hannibal, y él dice que me encanta una película que hizo Mads Mikkelsen, ya le digo el nombre acá, se llama Riders of Justice. Dice, la voy a recomendar. Mira que ni siquiera nos está recomendando nada de él. Él dice que lo que más le gusta, y por la razón que nos felicita, porque le preguntamos sobre el cine en general, él dice que más que hablar de su trabajo, porque él siente que pues, él ya, pues su trabajo habla por sí solo, es recomendar películas que para él son interesantes. Dice que Riders of Justice maneja este mismo tema, pero bajo la visión de una persona que sufre una enfermedad mental. Dice que obviamente un actor de este calibre, lo que está mostrando el nuevo espectro que puede dar la acción, y obviamente nos lo dice una persona que nos ha mostrado cuál es el espectro que tiene que dar el cine de terror, el cine de ciencia ficción, porque sabemos que Julian es una leyenda. Y ahora, sobre proyectos, dice que los proyectos que están en desarrollo no puede hablar, pero sí nos puede hablar de Chapelwaite, basado en uno de los universos sobre, creo que es Jerusalem Slot, basado obviamente en lo que vino a ser Salem Slot, las brujas de Salem, de Stephen King, que luego se convirtió algo así como las brujas de Jerusalén. O sea, es un universo, es un cuento de King que se convirtió ahorita en una serie completa. Dice que Stephen King aprobó el papel, aprobó la serie, es un proyectazo. O sea, aquí nos acaba de hablar del último proyecto de Stephen King con Julian Richings, o sea, hay que verlo.
Hey, don't forget to follow your son, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.